Imagine giving your child a common fever medicine, something trusted, something you've probably used dozens of times, and then suddenly you hear it's been recalled nationwide. That's exactly what's happening right now in the United States, where a major pharmaceutical company, Strides Pharma, has issued a recall of children's ibuprofen oral suspension, a medicine found in homes across the country. And this isn't just a routine recall. It raises serious questions about drug safety, quality control, and how protected consumers really are. So, what exactly happened? According to reports, the recall involves liquid ibuprofen designed specifically for infants and children, a medication commonly used to reduce fever and relieve pain. Now, here's the concern. The affected batches may have inconsistent concentration levels, meaning the amount of active ingredient in each dose might not be accurate. And that's where things get dangerous. Because when it comes to children, dosing isn't just important, it's critical. Even a small variation can lead to underdosing, where the medicine doesn't work, or overdosing, which could potentially cause serious side effects. Let's break that down. Ibuprofen belongs to a class of drugs known as nonsteroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, or NSAIDs. These are widely used and generally considered safe when taken correctly. But in children, especially infants, the margin for error is much smaller. Too little, and the fever stays high. Too much, and you risk complications like stomach irritation, kidney issues, or worse, in extreme cases. That's why this recall is getting so much attention, because it directly affects one of the most vulnerable groups: kids. Now, here's what makes this situation even more concerning. The recall wasn't triggered by consumer complaints alone. It came after quality testing revealed inconsistencies. That suggests a breakdown somewhere in the manufacturing or quality assurance process. And when we're talking about pharmaceuticals, especially pediatric medications, there is supposed to be zero tolerance for error. So naturally, people are asking, how did this slip through? The recall has been classified under guidelines monitored by the U.S. Food and Drug Administration, which oversees drug safety in the United States. The FDA regularly issues recalls in three categories: Class 1 being the most serious, involving potential for serious harm, and Class 3 being the least severe. While not all recalls indicate immediate danger, the fact that a children's medication is involved automatically raises the stakes. Parents across the country are now being urged to check their medicine cabinets immediately. If you've recently purchased children's ibuprofen, especially liquid suspension forms, you need to verify the batch numbers and manufacturer details. Pharmacies and retailers are also pulling affected products from shelves, but here's the reality. Many of these bottles are already sitting in homes. That's why awareness is key. And let's talk about the bigger picture for a second. This isn't the first time we've seen recalls involving over-the-counter medications. In fact, over the past few years, there's been a noticeable increase in recalls tied to manufacturing inconsistencies, contamination risks, and labeling errors. Some experts argue that the global pharmaceutical supply chain, which often spans multiple countries, has become so complex that maintaining consistent quality is becoming more challenging. Strides Pharma, the company at the center of this recall, is a major player in the generic drug market. They manufacture medications that are distributed widely across the US and other countries. While generic drugs are required to meet the same standards as brand name medications, incidents like this remind us that regulation doesn't always guarantee perfection. Now, before panic sets in, it's important to keep things in perspective. Not every recalled product has caused harm, and many recalls are issued as a precautionary measure. But that doesn't mean the risk should be ignored. If your child has taken ibuprofen recently and you notice unusual symptoms, anything from persistent vomiting to unusual fatigue, it's always best to consult a healthcare professional immediately. This situation also highlights something a lot of people don't think about: how much we rely on everyday medications without questioning them. Pain relievers like ibuprofen are so common that they feel almost harmless. But behind every bottle is a complex process involving chemical formulation, quality testing, packaging, and distribution. And if even one step fails, the consequences can reach millions of households. So what should you do right now? First, check the label of any children's ibuprofen you have at home. Look for the manufacturer name. If it's linked to Strides Pharma, double check whether your specific batch is part of the recall. Second, follow official guidance for returns or disposal. And third, stay informed, because in situations like this, information is your best protection. And finally, let's address the question everyone's thinking. Can you still trust over-the-counter medicines? The answer is yes, but with awareness. Regulatory systems like the FDA exist for a reason, and recalls are actually a sign that those systems are working. But at the same time, consumers need to stay alert, informed, and proactive. Because at the end of the day, this isn't just about a bottle of medicine. It's about trust. Trust in the system, trust in the products we use, and trust that when we give something to our children, it's safe. But as this recall shows, that